The rise of Africa, the continent, the diaspora, and BRICS explores the relationships that are affecting the global economy right now. This book explores the relationships of the African diaspora's influence on the African continent and why this is important in stabilizing relationships with an understanding of how BRICS impacts the future, good or bad. You can order your copy of The Rise of Africa today on Amazon.com. Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. The reason that I can say that is you have a couple of different factors occurring right now as we speak on the world stage. The dollar is being disrupted. Nations are no longer wanting to engage with the United States. But the third factor that affects each and every one of us is that there is a diaspora from the African continent that's willing and able to engage our brothers and sisters on the continent.
Every journey begins with a simple act of care. For Quest to Unite Africa, that journey started with something simple: a mother, a newborn, and a promise that no life would be forgotten. We did not begin with buildings, we began with people. We packed mother newborn kits with our own hands because real change starts where the need is greatest. Those kids traveled farther than we imagined, and they opened our eyes to a deeper truth. Aid saves lives, but infrastructure saves generations. So we grew. Together with donors, volunteers, and partners, we sent a medical container to Burkina Faso. Not just supplies, but hope. Not just boxes, but proof that when a community comes together, healing moves across borders. That moment changed us because we realized something powerful. We weren't just delivering help, we were building a future. Now the journey continues. The next chapter is bigger than a shipment, bigger than a campaign. We are raising funds to build a state-of-the-art hospital, a place where mothers can give birth safely, where families can find care close to home, and where communities can grow stronger for generations to come. This hospital is not just a structure, it's a promise. A promise that healthcare will no longer be temporary. A promise that dignity will have a permanent home. And just like every step before, we cannot do this alone. Every gift, every brick, every name placed on the founder path becomes part of a story that began with compassion and is growing into legacy. It helps us move from emergency aid to lasting healing, from containers to care that never leaves, from vision to reality. Join us, stand with us, help us build a hospital that will serve generations, moving healthcare into action. Visit q2ua.org today.
Well, shalom, salama, siemi, shalom. Greetings to all my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world, whether you're the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel. You're a Gentile grafted in to the house. I welcome you this morning, a morning of ultimatums, bounties, mutinies, and other calamities. But as I was cooking breakfast this morning, I had to think, and what the Ruach was basically letting me know that in this time we're literally seeing the disintegration of white supremacy. And I have to delve into this because the way that, like I had stated, white supremacy works based off of an anchor system. The anchor is broken. And their anchoring was based on the military because, their God is for them because the God of forces will not allow them to lose a battle. And if they lose, then their God of forces are going to demand that it has and that they utilize more blood. It's the it's Baal, the Balaam. But again, that's who they've served. And as Jacoba had stated this back on Saturday, our awakening became a lot more, our word and our study became a lot more enriching because when you understand how the New Testament was designed for us to be able to endure in captivity, the design was as we start to come to ourselves. I'm going to tell you this. This is a news flash for everybody that want to be holier than thou in the lands of our captivity. I'm going to tell you, you can try. You can sincerely keep the law, statutes, and commandments. You can. But will it be perfect? No, it won't. Unless you have and are covered under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. Because why? Because everything that we do is a substitute. You ain't got no temple. You don't have even a Levitical order. That hasn't been revealed yet. We know of some. We know what may. But I do have to at least say, that our people, we try. And we'll try to a fault. I still say shalom. Is it shalom? Is it salama? Is it Siemi? Is it Shalawam? And we know that Shalawam is literally more than likely a very made up term. But I say that and I greet that because, again, I'm trying to meet everybody where they're at. And where they're at is that everything, see, people are allowed to go back to sleep. The Most High shook them, they jolted them, and people, they didn't just go back to sleep, they fell right back into the sleep. Because they said, well, that everything is fine. We beat the spread. We beat the virus. That was literally the beginning of things. Because why? Because the horde mentality had to come. They never recovered. And, there's speculations of who did it, why it was done. Let me just tell you this. Back in 2019, 2020, our manufacturing was still crap. Don't get it twisted. At that time, America was losing and they were losing jobs. Don't get it twisted. All that did was it created a worldwide pause. And in my opinion, it was a pause of power. You had a war in Iran. I don't think people realize this. Soleimani had died January of 2020. Oh, we got a pandemic. Time out, time out, time out. Why is that? Because we're not ready yet. We're not ready to go in for the final operation. And you got to remember, they planned this in years. We're only looking at hours, minutes, days. But this was the slow moving storm. And now the storm is finally here. And now they're trying to say, well, it's not that bad. Like I had stated a couple of years ago, like I had stated last year, that when they lose, they're going to still say that they're winning. That's how that goes. And when they lose, they're going to go scorched earth. That's how that goes. Why is that? Because they are their ancestors, same as we are our ancestors. Don't get it twisted. Because what we fail to understand, that what the Most High had said to us, to our ancestors, at in Sinai, that volcanic mountain that's still there in the Ethiopian region, that's still as active. No, I don't prescribe to the Middle East or Southern Greece as the Holy Land. It's a nice try, though. I mean, it's brainwashing, man. I mean, I tell people brainwashing is thick. Folks didn't even realize that we were in a multi generational prison. Well, but I'm an American. What does your DNA say? Uh, uh, those are the simple things. Look, in order to deprogram and deconstruct, you don't have to go through all of these long winded analogies and anecdotes. You don't. The easiest thing to deconstructing somebody? Ask simple questions. Ask simple questions. They're either going to think about it or they're going to divorce you because it didn't feed into the narrative of white supremacy. Oh, and don't get it twisted. You don't have to be white to practice white supremacy. Ta-da! Because white supremacy is a system. It's a function. It's a system. It's a system that people live in. It's a system that people have died in. Even protecting the system. So they thought. Yeah, I see all these folks hanging in Mississippi. I see all these people, our people, being deleted, but then I ask myself, and I have to be honest and ask myself, how did they get into that proximity? You do not become a target unless you made yourself a target. And I have to like wonder and question. I remember in the late 80s, early 90s, the life alerts, the mace cans and sprays, because everybody was hocked up on um death wish and vigilanteisms and everything else. Because why? Because nobody wanted to be a target. That was the 80s. Back in the day, it was a law and order, law and order, law and order. Now you don't have any laws that are actually kept up, because again, it's lawlessness. And the order is based off of how much you're bringing to the table. How much can you provide? Oh, 5 million. Okay, pardon. Gee, thanks. Thanks for expunging my record. I appreciate it. Now I can go back to doing all the crimes and wickedness because I got enough money. You know that is actually one of the most simplest signs of a systemic decay is when that happens. And I'm sorry, I'm not saying anything. I'm not advocating anything. I'm here just to explain what is going on. It's like if you are visually impaired, and I'm sorry I say this because I've dealt with this, but if you're asking somebody that's visually impaired, hey, are you enjoying that book? And they're feeling the braille, and then they snap at you. Why are you getting mad at me? What is the problem? Are you mad? I'm different. I'm reading this in braille. I'm touching this, and it's your fault. Wait a second. I just asked you, are you enjoying your book? I didn't ask you about your insecurities while you read the book. I think that's the best analogy to explain the theorem of white supremacy. And it's not a theorem, but that's the truth. When I was explaining this a couple years ago, the art of diplomacy, the dollar's being disrupted. Nations are no longer wanting to deal with the United States. What do you think is happening right now? Why do you think the U.S. went to war? U.S. didn't go to war just to go to war. U.S. went to war because their economy is suffering. It's failing. The war is a symptom of a failing economy because why? Because when in doubt, you have to shoot it out or pew pew it out. Excuse me for YouTube. No, I think you may have misunderstood the analogy, but that's okay. I think a lot of these I got to stop responding to these chat bots. These chat bots are they're actually becoming very sophisticated, and they're here to disturb and disrupt, and really they're here to replace. Who are they going to replace? Everybody. I could just imagine Sister Chantel right now. She's listening. I'm thinking about the creatures when they're talking about we're gonna eat the human unblemished. It's funny, but it's really not. But I'm going to tell you this. Yes, you also have to understand that because we're heavily censored and monitored, anything that we do or say, because if you hadn't noticed, all the things that we say isn't anything outlandish or crazy. No one here is calling for the overthrow of the US government. They've already done that. That's already happened. Now you already have a dictator in office. So that's not our fault. People can get mad. They get mad because why? Because we look at things differently. We see things for how it is. And because we don't want to compromise and we are people of integrity because we fear the Most High, then that's what they get mad at. They get mad because you don't want to participate in their imagination, vain imaginations. I was looking at a story the other day. This came on up. I don't even know why it came on up. But it was the actress Hayden Panettiere. She was on the Heroes TV show back in the day. Did a couple of like Disney movies, back in back in the day. I found out she died at 36 years old. And the reason I bring that on up is because I think she was married to like one of the Klitschko brothers. There were some famous Ukrainian boxing brothers back in the late 2000s. And one of the Klitschko brothers actually became um, the mayor of Kiev. So I'm not sure if he's still a mayor, but it was just interesting to note that. And I'm not sure if she was the wife of that because it was like Andre and Vitali. Because I back in the day, man, I used to love watching some boxing. You got to pay that $50 pay per view. Oh snap! Invite the friends on over. You, you know, yeah, she did look a little bit older than 36, but what they were saying purportedly, they were saying that she may have died from drug a drug overdose. And it's sad because these are the symptoms of despair that they're going to be going through. And I'm gonna push back on this that Sean because I'm gonna tell you this. At one point in time, were we not all certain servants of Lucifer, servants of this Baal system? We weren't worshiping Yahusha in spirit and truth. We were worshiping Cesar Borgia, a Baal. For the most part, we had the good sense to ask the Most High through his son, Yahushua HaMashiach, to have pity on us because we were trying to figure on out the truth. And we collect, I would say not collectively, but onesie twosies, despite who we would lose, despite the challenges that we would face, there are people in our families. Yeah, I know that we're the people, but I can't say anything because why? Because my spouse, my husband, my wife, my mom, my dad, my sons, my daughters. That's our people right now. Even as they see everything falling apart for them. And I'm sorry, that's a pride and arrogance that we all have to be careful of, myself included. None of us here are clean. We're still filthy rags. We're just not as filthy. We may have been able to clean up our face, but our body is still pretty nasty. Why? Because we're still here in Babylon. You can't get clean if you're cleaning in nasty water. Have you understood why they've had now cyber attacks on our water system? I laugh because I'm like, wow, the Most High is really not playing any games because we're still filthy. We have just been given grace to not be as filthy. Let that sink in. Look, I've been utilizing bottled water and things of that nature for years. I've already thought, look, I've already suspected. I'm going to say this. I've already suspected that we have already had cyber attacks since 2021, 22. But now, what they can't do, they can't hide it anymore because a lot of people are monitoring these types of conditions with these intrusions and everything else. You now have all of these cybersecurity firms that are like, hey, that got hacked. Why is that? Because on the dark web, they're saying this and saying that, and they're utilizing this because a lot of these third party or these, I would say, government sponsored actors, well, they're trying to get paid and they're trying to show their work and they're trying to freelance. Hey, if I can do this for Iran or China or Russia, right? That's how that works. They try to freelance. Some of them may actually be, actual countries, but by and large, the good, the those that are very good, they freelance, they contract. Hey, it's hard out here. I told you, look, you got to make a dollar. These folks are trying to make a dollar. Why? Because liquidity is leaving. They're trying to rush gold back on up because why? Because the U.S. kept it down intentionally. And now gas is getting ready to go up because why? Because the US was trying to coordinate with China. Hey, please don't buy gas. Please give us at least 6 months. You got to understand there's a lot of wheeling and dealing that goes behind the scenes. We don't get the full extent. But then when they say, hey, China's buying oil again like that, oh, they are? Uh-oh. Because that's where demand goes up. And then that is where we, and I say we, being here in the United States, we feel the oil markets. We feel the oil effects. And that's coming. We said that was coming. They were trying their best, though. I was thinking, late June, early July. I figured, hey, maybe they want to try to get out of the fall season because, again, once you get into the winter time, if you have a really nasty summer, you'll probably have a really bad winter. And this has been a very bad summer. I was talking to my daughter a few days ago, and she was like, Dad, it's like, it is just hot out there. And I said, I know. I couldn't even take my dog on a walk. I like to walk the dog. That's how I get exercise. And I said, it's too hot. Yesterday, when I left my training, it was about 100 degrees outside. And it was 100 degrees and it didn't rain. That to me was very auspicious. Okay. I'm going to tell you this. The way that it works here in Florida, we have summer rains. This is our rainy season, except all the moisture went up north. All the moisture is obviously in the Midwest, especially for those in the Indiana area, and looking at what was going on in Indianapolis. That was pretty interesting. So pray for our people up there also. But generally speaking, it will go up to about 95, 94, 95 degrees. That's when you would have the humidity and the moisture kick off. The energy would be in the atmosphere to kick off because of um all the moisture. And then you'd have your afternoon thunderstorms. We aren't having that. You can hear a little bit of the rumbles, but it's actually cloudy. It's building up, but it's so hot that it doesn't build up. It's so hot that it evaporates. You don't even get like a sprinkle. It's weird. But I don't think that it's weird. I say, well, Father, that's judgment because, again, even though we've had rain, we haven't had the rain needed for this drought. And on top of that, look, we got data centers going on, especially here in Florida. And I'm like, that could possibly be something also. And they're never going to admit that, right? You'll find out like 20 years later. Oh yeah, when they started to put data centers on in there, it actually started to mess up the environment. And that's how famine started. Okay, that I pray the Most High that 20 years from now I'll be over in the land, out of captivity, not thinking about this place, because I know that when I do, I'll probably be a little sad. I'm not gonna lie, I'll probably be sad because I do anticipate a lot of people that I know, that I love, that won't make it. Because you have to understand that even though we see the bad and we look at the bad and we understand the bad, you have a lot of our people that are still wrapped up in this system. What am I going to go? Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? How am I going to live? How? You got to understand that. They want you on out of here, and they don't even have any food. Yeah, but it's just a bad day, and you can imagine our people, because you can imagine our family members giving all the excuses. Well, it'll get better, right? It'll get better. It'll get better. Hey, I'm just telling you, you can stay here if you want to, but you see what's happening on out there. That's why I'm going to get sad because I know that that will be our people. Well, I want to, I want to do this. I want to do that. So many things that people want to do while this place is falling. Thank you for bearing with me in this soliloquy. I want to go here. This is the best. I'm going to tell you this. If they're putting this on out there, especially on this platform, that it gives there's some merit and weight to this. A lot of things get reported without any type of merit or any type of weight, but I'm going to say this because if you know anything about Stars and Stripes, Stars and Stripes is a military propaganda arm of the United States military. It really is. I think one of the best um one of the best movies I think that you kind of see a lot of different things was Full Metal Jacket. And with Full Metal Jacket, you know, everybody thinks about the scene of R. Lee Ermey, you know, the drill instructor. And I met him in real life a couple of times. He was from somewhere in southeastern Kansas. So I met him at a Marine Corps birthday ball a couple of times. I actually even have a book signed by him. So kind of interesting. But on that movie, the one of the characters that was there in boot camp that watched the drill instructor get deleted and then the recruit deleted himself. You know, those are when I tell people it's like, well, why would somebody think like that? Look, I don't know if a lot of people hadn't realized this, but there are a lot of folks in the military that suffer from suicidal ideations. They were already suffering from that to begin with. I say that because every time I go to the VA, every time I call the VA on my prescriptions from the VA for thoughts of suicide, please call. They even have a special 988 number for veterans. People cannot imagine what the world would look like if the US actually lost. See, the US has lost, but they can't imagine that they've already had lost. So this is the repercussions of when you get your behind beat. Have you always noticed in a fight that the person that has gotten their behinds whooped, they keep coming even though they have internal injuries, they have a brain bleed, they've already been beat up, that they cannot, that it's going to be years of physical therapy to bring them back to at least the marginal quality of life that they've had. But then they keep coming. How many times have we seen this? I used to watch World Star all the time, you know, these little ignorant behind fights. You already know what I'm talking about. I asked the Most High to forgive me because, you know, some of that stuff was ignorant. Not some of it. All of it was ignorant. All of it was ignorant. But you see people, when they get knocked on out, they keep coming. And they're so vulnerable because they don't have the faculties anymore to even put themselves in a guard. Just like I said, when you watch boxing, I used to like watching boxing all the time because the refs would have to take a look and see if that player was already knocked out and their brain is off, but their compulsory motor functions are still on. Or excuse me, they're just in an automatic venture, right? The lights are gone because you'll see lights are gone. There's a dimness. When people are knocked out, there's a dimness. Their eyelids will be open. They really can't focus. They're just literally sleepwalking. And they're sleepwalking in the ring, and the one opponent is just battering them because they have no idea what's happening, and they're just being a sock 'em bopper, just getting all sorts of rattled. And so the referee has to call the fight because at each impact that boxer is taking, their quality of life is diminishing, and that's why if they don't die in the ring, then they have to retire soon after because their brain is not able to endure the damage that they literally become mentally slowed. I'm trying to be nice for um, YouTube's sake. One of the things that I don't think a lot of people know is he's a famous trainer, and his name was Eddie Roach. I'm sorry, I'm doing a lot of boxing analogies today. Eddie Roach. I don't know if Eddie Roach is still alive but he used to train a lot of great boxers. I think even Mayweather had him for a little bit. A lot of good boxers. Good trainer. But you want to know why he was such a good trainer? Because Eddie Roach almost died in the ring. And one of the fights that he had, it made him um he had a severe brain injury, traumatic brain injury. They call it TBIs today. And he didn't recover. His quality of life, he would always have a quiver. He would have a slowed speech reaction because his cognitive abilities had declined. What do you think is happening to the United States right now? They're suffering and they suffered a TBI. Their cognitive abilities have declined. But when you haven't had anybody kind enough in the international community stop the fight and say, hey, we need to get you up on out of there or else you're going to die in the ring. Do you not now see the trap that was laid? Do you not now see Jeremiah 50? Do you not now see Obadiah right there? That these other nations are just looking at the United States get beat to death. And nobody's trying to help them get off the mat. Now, Trump is actually saying something. Hey, we need our allies. We need this. We need that. Because why? Because they're getting beat to death. They're at least recognizing that they're getting beat to death, but the ref got paid off. The ref is in on this match. The towel has been, the corner is there trying to throw the towel. They don't held up his hand. They threw the towel outside of the arena. It's looking like that Harlem Night scene with the champ. I'm sorry, Bailey. That was ignorant. Let me get a taxi for you. Taxi. Let me taxi for the champ. Thanks. The champ is beating the block. It's not a black. It's not a black one as a champ. It's the Iron Sheik. It's just body slamming. The Iranian boxing champion. Aren't you going to call the fight? I think they're doing good boxing. Throw in the towel. Call the fight. And now they're seeing. To me, this is a little bit more unbelievable, but it's true. Let me do this. Stars and Stripes. That's a military affiliated publication from a Philip Walter Wellman. Iran is offering up to 60,000 to kill or capture American service members. As its army chief vows that U.S. bases in the Middle East will not be allowed to return to their pre-war state. I was telling you that. So if the bases aren't allowed to return to the pre-war state, what do you think that's going to happen with the aircraft carrier? You think the aircraft carrier is just going to mosey up on in there and be like, oh, yeah, we got it. We're going to have another rotation. I'm going to tell you this, just in my opinion. If the U.S. tries to bring in another ship, Iran will more than likely strike. Which, again, you got to remember, these folks on the ship, they're talking all the time. What's the likely? Who do you think they're talking to? They're talking to all the intel folks. Yeah, sources over DIA saying this. The naval intel is saying this. DNI. Oh, no, it's not DNI. It is. I forgot what the Navy was. Because you have the MCIA. Yeah, there's a couple. They'll say the IC, the intelligence community. And they'll have their assessments, which are more than likely, they're more real world, they're more spot on. Because no matter what, they get fired. They'll be forced to resign early. They'll be, hey, we got this in your profile. They'll get, they will be getting rid of. So they can't lie like that. They're not politicians. But they're going to be talking. They're going to be talking to friends on the ship. Hey, this is going to get really bad. This is going to get, and then folks are going to start trying to devise or concoct a plan. Hey, listen, I know we're in a combat zone. I know we're in a theater of war. Shoot, we can be. You know that you can be summarily executed, right? In a worst scenario, as an officer, you did have the power to summarily execute folks. I don't think people understood that. I always had that authority downrange, and guess what? And other people had authority over me to do that. But I would imagine that when you get to that level, to where it's, well, he's either going to shoot me or we're going to get sunk and we're going to probably drown, and I just drown. You're the outlook starts to look real bleak. They haven't been out there long enough. The outlook starts to look real bleak. Then you start to question your choices in life. Then you start to question, will I even be able to make it out of here? And when I make it out of here, what is that going to look like? You know, and I don't know if people understand this, you don't have a lot of support with the military like that anymore. And everybody that goes into the military, especially in a conflict like this, especially in a conflict where they don't know what the mission is, they don't know if they're committing war crimes. Do you know what's going to end up happening? They're thinking like Vietnam, because that's exactly what this is. It's shaping out to be. And the Vietnam War, you had people returning back home and they were being spat at. Y'all are baby killers. You are schoolgirl murderers. Murderers. You're school children murderers. You all are genocide enablers. And the fact of the reality of the matter is, this war is not popularly supported. So when our people try to have some sort of flimsy argument of, well, they should have known better. Well, I'm going to tell you this: they didn't. They didn't know. Most of these folks, more than likely, signed their paperwork, did their enlistments or their re-enlistments during the Biden era. They may have survived Trump 1. So, well, we'll probably never get him in office. This will probably be a little bit of a, at least we'll go after real threats instead of a corporatized war target list, which it is. So when I tell people, I'm like, hey, we need to be a little bit more, I would say, wary of how we engage, especially with our brothers and sisters. It's already going to be hard enough on them for the deployment. And again, in this environment, oh my goodness. So they have the bounties. The bounties are real. Notice that they didn't say a time of when they'd return. In my opinion, they're never going to return. And I hate to be that bearer of bad news. Because if they return, then that's a collapse right there. It's sad. It's unfortunate. If you don't return without the win, then you're going to be more than likely deleted. And I'm sorry that people. I'm even sorry to have to acknowledge that reality, but that's the reality. That's what they have. That's what they said. That's what he said. Look, I don't care about the people like that. They haven't been there long enough. Come on, man. Now people are questioning things. Do you know what that really means to people? I don't feel valued. I feel like I'm garbage. Like, so let me just kind of put this on in here. Our people are very thick skinned. Okay, we already know. We could deal with that. Our people are thick skinned. For them, that will destroy them. They don't deal with stuff like that. I'm telling you, they don't. That will destroy them. All right, family, I got to get up on out of here. Most high willing, I'll be back here tomorrow. Thursday, I'll definitely be on in the afternoon because that's Thursday. I should be going to my new schedule. So I'm trying to take the time that I can, sit down with you all, talk to you all while I can before this gas runs out. And if the gas runs out and I have to do everything remote, then hey, hallelujah. Hallelujah. But with that said, family, again, I do have to get up on that every single day. If you want to support this channel, you can do so. $ COVAWK1, $COVAWK1. Again, family. Um, my day job is a teacher right now. That's where the Most High has put me. And it's a humbling thing. It's humility. It's humbling. So that's why I say, family, please pray for me because there's still things that I have to do, the odds and the ends, and in this season. But again, I'm not complaining about the how the Most High has these trials because again, without any trial, there's no victories. So yeah, I understand. I understand. It's a little interesting to to have people understand the condition that I'm in. So it it it's like this. Yeah, just starting as a teacher. And there's a reason why there's not a lot of teachers, especially at my age group in this profession. So, and I have to laugh because I say, "Well, thank you, Father, that it's a humbling thing. It's a humbling thing." But look, as I had also stated, and there was a video that was sent to me the other day. This man was he was proselytizing about Jesus, and this one woman on the corner, she was an Ashkenaz, and that's just how it goes. And she basically had told him that she was going to ruin his life, so he would never make a dime. So the funny thing is that I kind of laugh because I'm like, yeah, that's what ends up happening. See, it's real simple to be on out there, and you can get entertained on this and things of that nature, but the reality is that's what they try to do. You all think that this truth is just an easy truth. Oh, well, thank you, brother Karras. It's very it's very entertaining and things of that nature. Yeah, but there's a cost to it. There's a cost. And the reality is that that's the cost that I have to pay. Because when you're telling this truth, people are going to get mad. There are things in this society that you don't know. We only get exposed to just a microcosm of it. And I think, to be honest, if I were to tell you how this thing actually works, I think you all be very fearful. You all are starting to get a little bit of how it works, but you don't get all of it. So I just thank the Most High that I'm able to do something. Now, like I said, it doesn't pay all my bills. I know that. I'm constantly having to do some odds and end jobs. I get it. And that's okay. That's why I say, listen, if you can support, I definitely appreciate it. But that's all I got. I got to get on out of here. Got to get rolling. So, with that said, family, most time willing, I'll be back on tomorrow. With that, be blessed, stay encouraged, and understand that the Most High is with you in all things. He surely is. So, with that said, family, shalom, salamas, yemi, shalom, peace and blessings, Yasharel.